Well, hello everyone. It's me, Flower Child 567, and you are tuning in to the Friday Tamriel Storyteller Hour, and I'm so happy to see so many of you tuning in already. Hey, T-Chart! It's going good, and hi, Duties, and hey, Visionary. Hey, Visionary, I watched your Art Talk stream yesterday morning. That was really, really cool. And I went over to YouTube also and caught some of the past ones. I think you said you have them on your website also. So I'll have to go over there. Anyways, nice to see that. Okay, and hey, hi, white dude, white lines, I mean, you said hi, duties, and Angry Birds, hi, nice to meet you. Okay, so last night, I did a special event. It was Stretch's housing tour, and there were something like 16, 17 of us running around looking at houses, and I think it was probably the loudest stream I've ever run. It was crazy. I haven't listened to the rerun of it yet, but it was pretty crazy. And I really had a great time. So anyways, I just wanted to, if any of you from last night are watching it, or were there or watching now, thank you so much. That was so much fun. And as always, oh yeah, be sure to take a look at it, because it was pretty fun. And some of the builders are just incredible. What they do was just incredible. So, yeah. But here we are, and it's Storyteller Hour. And look, I have a new memento that I'm going to share with you, if I can do it. We got it in one of those boxes, right? So I gotta find it. I already went past it. There we go. Levitation. I'm so cool. It's too funny, right? And I'm really enjoying that. So, okay. So without further ado, I think I'll go ahead and get started. Now, I don't have a lot of paraphernalia set up for you today, so sorry about that. But hey, here we go. Let's come on over and light our candles and open it up and pull out our apocryphal tome and open that up. And oh yes, now we are truly ready to go. So we're actually going to go down into here. So let me open up the portal for that, because you know we must have the portal open. And here we go, down into the workshop. All right. Okay. So, you know, we just had the Whitestrack event, right? Which was a PvP event. And for those of you who did go down and play it, you started to receive a collection of books. And I think it's this one right here. Yes. Oh, hey, Byro, how are you today?
There might have been a misinterpretation of this one's intentions today. At the market, with the baker. Who knew they expected actual payment for the wretched moonsugar cakes?
Oh,
they should thank Bureau for taking them off their hands, yes?
Oh, yes, of course. Boy, I'll tell you, you always seem to have some kind of difficulty with the law.
Birodar would love to explain the point of his studies, but fears you would find it all terribly boring. And quite beyond your current level of comprehension.
Oh,
this one often finds it beyond his
that.
comprehension as well, so don't feel bad.
Thanks. All right, so we're going to read, the Song of Prelinal, and there are 8 volumes, I think. Yes, and I'm going to read all 8. This is today's lore. So settle in, get something to drink, and without further ado, we are going to. Hey,
enough
Bureau.
with the books already. Even a scholar must exercise his other muscles occasionally. This one wonders what Terra the Nimble is up to right now.
Well, I got a great idea. Why don't you go find out and give me the space? Can you give me the space, man? Gosh. All right, here we go. We're going to start with this first one. The Song of Prelinal, Volume 1. Here we go. On his name. Editor's note, Volume 1 through 6 are taken from the so-called Riemann manuscript, located in the Imperial Library. It is a transcription of older fragments collected by an unknown scholar of the early Second Era. Beyond this, little is known of the original sources of these fragments, some of which appear to be from the same period, perhaps even from the same manuscript. But as no scholarly consensus yet exists on dating these 6 fragments, no opinions will be offered. That he took the name Prelinal was passing strange, no matter his later sobriquets, which were many. That was an elvish name, and Prelinal was a scourge on that race, and not much given to irony. Prelinal was much too grim for that. Even in youth he wore white hair, and trouble followed him. Perhaps his enemies named Prelinal of their own in their tongue. But that is doubtful, for it means glorious night, and he was neither to them. Certainly many others added to that name during his days in Tamriel. He was Prelinal the Whitestrack, because of his left hand made of a killing light. He was Prelinal the Bloody, for he drank it in victory. He was Prelinal Insurgent, because he gave the Crusades a face. He was Prelinal in triumph, as the words eventually became synonymous, and men-at-arms gave thanks to the Eight when they saw his banner coming through war. He was Prelinal the Blamer, for he was quick to admonish those allies of his that favored tactics that ran counter to his, that is, sword theory. And he was Prelinal the Third, though whether this was because some said he was a god-gusher who had incarnated twice before already, or that, simpler, he was the third vision given to Perif, anon Alicia, in her prayers of liberation before he walked among the quarters of rebellion, is unknown. There you have it. That's volume 1. That's pretty cool, huh? And we're going to go on to volume 2. Yes, indeed. What? Indian Chief, why don't I have a fashion show sometime? A fashion show with just me? How boring that would be. But that's a good idea. Maybe I know somebody who might just be perfect to invite to help do a fashion show, because I believe she already does these. Anyways, let's continue on to the Song of Prelinal, Volume 2. On his coming. Again, there's a editor's note about volumes 1 through 6, so I shall not be reiterating that. I'll just simply continue. And then Perif spoke to the handmaiden again, eyes to the heavens which had not known kindness since the beginning of the elven rule, and she spoke as a mortal whose kindle is beloved by the gods for its strength and weakness, a humility that can burn with metaphor and yet break easily, and always doomed to end in death. And this is why those who let their souls burn anyway are beloved of the dragon and his kin. And she said, and this thing I have thought of, I have named it, and I call it freedom, which I think is just another word for Shazar, who goes missing. You made the first rain at his sundering land. That is what I ask now for our alien masters, that we might sunder them fully and repay their cruelty by dispersing them to drown in the Topal. Morias, your son mighty and snorting gore-horned, wing it when next he flies down. Let him bring us anger. And then Ken granted Perif another symbol, a diamond soaked red with the blood of elves, whose facets could unsector and form into a man whose every angle could cut her jailers, and name Prelinal, which is the star-made night. And he was arrayed in armor from the future time, and he walked into the jungles of Cyrodiil already killing. Morias stamping at his side, froth bloody and bellowing from excitement, because the Prelinal was come, and Prelinal came to Perif's camp of rebels, holding a sword and mace, both encrusted with the smashed viscera of elven faces, feathers, and magic beads, which were the markings of the alien doomed, stuck to the redness that hung from his weapons. And he lifted them, saying, "These were their eastern chieftains, no longer full of their talking." Ooh, it's kind of gross, huh? Thanks, Sasquatch. That's quite a story we've got going here, huh? Wow. Well, anyways, I think I'll continue with volume 3, right? Right? I know you want to keep hearing this. Hey, Frank, nice to see you. All right, here we go with volume 3. On his enemy. And again, the same information about the beginning, volumes 1 through 6. Prelinal Whitestrack was the enemy of all elf-kind that lived in Cyrodiil in those days. Mainly, though, he took it upon himself to slay the sorcerer kings of the Ayleids in prearranged open combats rather than at war. The fields of rebellion he left to the growing armies of the Paravanea and his bull nephew. Prelinal called out Haramir of Copper and Tea into a duel at the Tor and ate his neck veins while screaming praise to Rimmon, a name that no one knew yet. Gordhauer, the Shaper's head, was smashed upon the goat-faced altar of Nimendeva, and in his wisdom, Prelinal said a small plague spell to keep that evil from reforming by welcome magic. Later that season, Prelinal slew Hadhul on the granite steps of Seatar, the Fire King's spears, knowing their first refute. For a time, no weapon of the Ayleids could pierce his armor, which Prelinal admitted was unlike any crafted by men, but would say no more, even when pressed. When Huna, whom Prelinal raised from the grain slave to Hoplet and loved well, took death from an arrow made from the beak of Cyrodiil the singer, the Whitestrack went on his first madness. He wrought destruction from Narlame all the way to Cyrodiil, and erased those lands from the maps of elves and men, and all things in them, and Perif was forced to make sacrifice to the gods to keep them from leaving the world in their disgust. And then came the storming of White Gold, where the Ayleids had made pact with the Arorans of Meridia, and summoned them, and appointed the terrible and golden-hued half-elf Umaril the Unfeathered as their champion. And for the first time since his coming, it was Prelinal who was called out to battle by another, for Umaril had the blood of the Ada and would never know death. And so you see the plot thickens, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Oh, Stonequella, I am so happy that you feel story time is way cool. That makes me feel cool. All right. We are going to go on to volume 4 after I take just a little sip of my high elf wine here, even though you don't see me taking a sip, which I could have rearranged, but I didn't. I'm just now noticing that my statues are floating in the air off the shelf. Everything is levitating down here. Well, after this, I'm going to go antiquity hunting, scrying. So let's see, I think we're in volume 4 now. On his deeds. Okay, again, same intro. Prelinal drove the sorcerer armies past the Niben, claiming all the eastern lands for the rebellion of the Paravania, and Kin had to send her rain to wash the blood from the villages and forts that no longer flew Ayleid banners, for the armies of men needed to make camps of them as they went forward. And he broke the doors open for the prisoners of the Vatach, with the slave queen flying on Morihas above them. And men called her Alesh for the first time. He entered the gate to win back the hands of thousands strong of Sidor, a tribe now unknown but famous in those days, which the Aelids had stolen in the night. 2,000 hands that he brought back in a wagon made of demon bone, whose wheels trailed the sound of women when ill at heart. Unfortunately, a part of the text has been lost. And after the first pogrom, which consolidated the northern holdings for the men of Crete, he stood, with white hair gone brown with elf blood, at the bridge of Helden, where Perif's falconers had sent forth the Nords. And they, looking at him, said that Shor had returned, but he spat at their feet for profaning that name. He led them away into the heart of the hinterlands west to drive the Aelids inward towards the tower of white gold, a slow retreating circle that could not understand the power of man's sudden liberty. And what fury idea that brought! His mace crushed the thunder knocks that Eumeril sent his harriers on the rebellion's long march back south and east, and carried Morahas, breath of kin, to Sudhas, the clever, cutting man, a Nadi with a Keptu name, for healing. And when the bull had fallen to a volley of bird beaks, and, of course, at the Council of Skiffs, where all of the Parvanya's armies and all of the Nords shook with fear at the storming of white gold, so much so that the Alesh herself counseled delay. Prelinal grew furious and made names of Eumeril, and made names of what cowards he thought he saw around him, and then made for the tower by himself, for Prelinal often acted without thought. Oh dear. Hey, Michael. Hey, Red Fox. Well, we are halfway through the Song of Prelinal, and it is quite a story indeed. Now we move into Volume 5. Are you ready? Volume 5. On his love of Morias. It is a solid truth that Morias was the son of King. But whether or not Prelinal was indeed the Caesarine is best left unsaid. For once Plantenu, who favored the short sword, said it, and that night he was smothered by moths. It is famous, though, that the two talked of each other as family, with Marius as the lesser, and the Prelinal that loved him and called him nephew. But these could be merely the fancies of immortals. Never did Prelinal counsel Marius in time of war, for the man Bull fought magnificently and led men well, and never resorted to madness. But the Whitestrack did warn against the growing love with Perif. We are Adamor, and change things through love. We must take care lest we beget more monsters on this earth. If you do not desist, she will take to you, and you will transform all Cyrodiil if you do this. And to this Bull became shy, for he was a bull, and he felt his form too ugly for the Parvanya at all times, especially when she disrobed for him. He snorted, though, and shook his nose hoop into the light of the Secunda moon, and said, "She is like this shine on my nose hoop here. An accident sometimes, but Whenever I move my head at night, she is there. And so you know what you ask is impossible. Oh, wow. Well, that is what my friend Stretch calls Tamriel nightlife, or something like that. He always makes me laugh when he says that. Okay. Let's see, that was volume 5. Where is volume 6? Where is volume 6? What the heck? There. For a minute, I thought it was lost. Okay. Volume 6 on his madness. Okay, so this is the last of the volumes, probably with this editor's note. I read it one last time. Editor's note, volumes 1 through 6 are taken from the so-called Riemann manuscript located in the Imperial Library. It is a transcription of older fragments collected by an unknown scholar of the early Second Era. Beyond this, little is known of the original sources of these fragments, some of which appear to be from the same period, perhaps even from the same manuscript, but as no scholarly consensus yet exists on dating these fragments, no opinions will be offered here. And it is said that he emerged into the world like a Patamak that is borne by Sithis and all the forces of change therein. Still others, like Fibd of the New Teed, said that beneath the Prelinal star armor was a chest that gaped open to show no heart, only a red rage, shaped diamond fashion, singing like a mindless dragon, and that this was proof that he was a myth echo, and that there where he trod were shapes of the first urging. Prelinal cared for none of this, and killed any who would speak god logic, except for fair Perif, who he said enacts rather than talks, as language without exertion is dead witness. And when those soldiers who heard him say this stared blankly, he laughed and swung his sword, running into the reign of kin to laughter their alien captives, screaming, "O Akka, for our shared madness I do this. I watch you watching me watching back. You Morel dares call us out, for that is how we made him." And it was during these fits of anger and nonsense that Prelinal would fall into the madness where whole swaths of lands were devoured in divine rampage to become void, and Alicia would have to pray to the gods for their succor, and they would reach down as one mind and soothe the Whitestrack until he no longer had the will to kill the earth in whole. And Garrett of Men of Guy once saw such a madness from afar, and maneuvered, after it had abated, to drink toward, together with Prelinal. And he asked what such an affliction felt like, to which Prelinal could only answer, "Like when the dream no longer needs its dreamer." I'm going to say that one more time. Close your eyes and hear the madness feels like when the dream no longer needs its dreamer. That's very profound. Wow. It's interesting, isn't it? It's also interesting. Okay. How's everyone doing out there? I hope pretty good. And I'm going to continue because we only have 2 more volumes of this. The Song of Prelinal, Volume 7. On his battle with Umaril and his dismemberment. Ooh. Here's the editor's note. This fragment comes from a manuscript recovered from the ruins of the Elysian Order's monastery at Lake Canulus, which dates it to sometime prior to the War of Righteousness in First Era 2321. However, textual analysis suggests that this fragment actually preserves a very early form of the song, perhaps from the mid-6th century. And so, after many battles with Umaril's allies, where dead Ararens lay like candlelight around the throne, the Prelinal became surrounded by the last alien sorcerer king and their demons, each one heavy with Varliance. The Whitestrack cracked the floor with his mace, and they withdrew. And he said, "Bring me Umero that called me out." And, while mighty in his aspect and wicked, deathless, golden, Umero favored ruin from afar over close combat, and so he tarried in the shadows of the White Tower before coming forth. More soldiers were sent against Prelinal to die, and yet they managed to pierce his armor with axes and arrows, for Umero had wrought each one by long virulence, which he had been hoarding since his first issue of challenge. Presently the half-elf showed himself, bathed in meridian light, and he listed his bloodline in the Aelia Dune and spoke of his father, a god of the previous Kalpa's world river, and taking great delight in the heavy breathing of Prelinal, who had finally bled. A portion of the text is lost. And Umaril was laid low, the angel face of his helm dinted into an ugliness which made Prelinal laugh, and his unfeathered wings broken off with sword strokes delivered while Prelinal stood frothing above him, insulting his ancestry and anyone else that took ship from old Enofe, which angered the other elvish kings and drove them to a madness of their own, and they fell on him, speaking to their weapons, cutting the Prelinal into eighths, while he roared in confusion, which even the council of skiffs could hear. Again, more text has been lost. Ran when more shook the whole of the tower, with mighty bashing from his horns the next morning, and some were slain in overabundance in the taking. And men looked for more Aelids to kill, but Prelinal had left none, save those kings and demons that had already begun to flee. It was Moras who found the Whitestrack's head, which the kings had left to prove their deeds. And they spoke, and Prelinal said things of regrets, but the rebellion had turned away. Any more words were said between these immortals that even the Parvant would not deign to hear. Wow, huh? All right. I am going to read the last volume of the Song of Prelinal. So get ready. Here it goes. On his revelation at the death of Al-Esh. Editor's note. This is the oldest and most fragmentary of all the extant Prelinal texts. It is, however, likely closest to the original spoken or sung form of the song, and therefore has great value despite its brevity. Strangely, it appears that Prelinal is present at Alicia's deathbed, although he was killed by Umaril earlier in the saga, years before. Alicia's death. Some scholars believe that this fragment is not actually a part of the Song of Prelinal, but most accept its authenticity, although there is still much debate as to its significance. And left you to gather sinew with my other half. Who will bring light thereby to that mortal idea that brings the gods great joy, that is, freedom, which even the heavens do not truly know, which is why our Father, the text lost, in those first days, spirits swirls before convention, that which we echoed in our earthly madness. Let us now take you up. We will show our true faces, which eat one another in amnesia each age. Wow. All right, so I feel a need to come here into the Shrine of the Eight Divines. And I'm going to stand here, okay? I'm going to stand here for a moment because this was quite a book to read. Now, there are a few things I want to say about this. First of all, we had a major PvP event, didn't we, called Whitestrack. And it was for Cyrodiil and Imperial City and battlegrounds even. And I'm curious to know, how many of you PvPers out there know the story of your ESO game? Because I just read it to you. How many of you have received these books from this event and just deleted them from your inventory, or just, didn't even think to read them? I'm sure a great deal of PvPers. So, hey, my sweet dudes out there, this episode is dedicated to the history of the warrior madness that you all, and even I to a certain degree, am experiencing each and every time you go down into Cyrodiil or Imperial City or out onto a battleground. So become wise. Read these books again when you are alone, if you have them in your library, which if you've played quite a bit of PvP, you do. And I'll show you where you can find them, of course. Well, I don't know. I own them, and we all get them in hard copy, but they should be in our lore books. I'm not quite sure. I didn't think to look for them, so my apologies for that. Yeah, my apologies for that. I guess, well, if you don't keep them, then you may not have them. Is it in here, maybe? I know I've seen them somewhere. I know I have seen them somewhere in our lore books. But I would say find them if you didn't actually keep the books. Now, let's look. I don't know. So I thought I would do this with you because sometimes it's fun to discover things with all of you. Let's look in our collections, our set item collections, and go down to PvP. All right, and go into, let's first look into Cyrodiil. I'm just looking to see if there's actually a star. I'm just looking, because look at how many you have. So much gear down here. Judgment of Akatosh, Kind's Kiss. Okay, this is original Langer of Periide right here. This would be one of them. Light of Cyrodiil, that's Meridia aligned. I would think you would want to wear, if you're a real PvP player, you would want to make sure that you get all of... there's so many, huh? So much down in all of this. Gosh. Warrior's Fury, that to me would be all about Prelinal, the madness. And the Wrath of Imperial. Okay, let's look at Imperial City. Excuse me. Powerful reactor, shield breaker. I guess not. I was wondering if there was like a star. They mentioned it in one of the books, what he wore, what his armor was. I was kind of curious if there was one. So here we are, my friends. Okay, let's go out of here. Back up into here. Let's take a look. Wow. You would like to request orcs, Russian girl? Okay, I'll tell you what. Starting next week, we'll begin to look at orcs, and I'll read all about the orcs for you. Okay, I wanted to come back over here and see what this book was next to it. Oh, how funny! Check this out. I was here reading, right, and I wanted to see what this book was right there, an accounting of the Elder Scrolls, which I'm going to read next. But for some reason, I came over to here. And Orcs of Skyrim. That's too funny. Okay, let's look at this. This book is an accounting of the Elder Scrolls. Because in Cyrodiil, it's all about the Elder Scroll, isn't it? The Elder Scrolls. So I'm going to read this one. An accounting of the Elder Scrolls by Quintus Nervalis, former Imperial Librarian. After the supposed theft of an Elder Scroll from our Imperial Library, I endeavored to find any sort of index or catalog of the scrolls in our possession, so that such situations may be avoided or at least properly verified in the future. To my dismay, I discovered that the moth priests are notoriously inexact when it comes to the actual physical manifestations of the scrolls, and had no idea how many they held or how they were organized. Merely asking the question evoked chuckles, as if a child was asking why dogs cannot talk. I will confess my jealousy of the ones who can read the scrolls grows, but I am not yet willing to sacrifice my sight to alleged knowledge. The older moth priests I attempt to engage in conversation seem as batty as any other elder who has lost their mind, so I fail to see what wisdom is imparted from the reading. In any case, I set out to create my own index of the Elder Scrolls in cooperation with the monks. Day by day, we went through the tower halls, with them telling me the general nature of each Elder Scroll, so that I might record its location. Always careful never to glimpse the writings myself, I had only their word to go on. I meticulously drew out a map of the chambers where scrolls relating to various specific prophecies were located. where particular periods of history were housed. In all, it took nearly a year of plotting, but at last I had rough notes on the entirety of the library to begin my collation. It was here that things began to go amiss. In studying my notes, I found many areas of overlap and outright contradiction. In some cases, different monks would claim the same scroll to be at opposite ends of the tower. I know they had no taste for jesting, or else I would suspect I was being made the fool in some game of theirs. I spoke to one of the older monks to relate my concerns, and he hung his head in sorrow for my wasted time. "Did I not tell you," he coughed, "when you started this, that all efforts would be futile? The scrolls do not exist in countable form." "I had thought you meant that there were too many to be counted," I said. "There are, but that is not the least of their complexities. Turn to the repository behind you and tell me how many scrolls are locked therein." I ran my fingers over the metal casings, tallying each rounded edge that they encountered. I turned back. 14, I said. "Hand me the 8th one," he said, reaching out his hand. I guided the cylinder into his palm, and he gave a slight nod to acknowledge it. "Now count again." Humoring him, I again passed my hands over the scrolls, but could not believe what I was feeling. Now there are 18, I gasped. The old monk chuckled, his cheeks pushing up his blindfold until it folded over itself. "And in fact," he said, "there always were." It was then that I enrolled as the oldest novice ever accepted into the cult of the ancestor moth. Oh gosh, I love that story. I do have an Elder Scroll. Love how you, well, you know, Frank, I love that too, but I don't have many props this time. I really don't. But you guys, we are actually going to, I have an old ancient Elder Scroll, not one of the shiny ones that is an achievement. I'm going to take you there. Are you ready? Are you ready to be taken? Okay, well, first what I have to do is I have to sprinkle you with a little fairy dust. Is it this one? Yes, glimmer dust. Let me get you with the glimmer dust. Hold on. Oh, there we go. And then let me make sure that I am going to travel to the right place. Just a second. Oh, I think I got the wrong one. Hold on. Right there. I think it's this one. Yes, there we go. Tamriel, we want to go right to there. Perfect. Okay. And now, are you ready? We're going to go there now. So hold on. We're going actually to the guild house. Banshee Guild House, the Glade Song Arboretum. And here we go. We're gonna fly. Here we go. Ah! Oh yes, here we go. Oh, that is so hard on me. Boy, I'll tell you. So hard indeed. But I gotta show you my Elder Scroll. Yes indeed. My Elder Scroll is way cool. And here we are. Let's run. That was Cor and Hildegard. I have it hidden away as a protection. And this little guy, my Ogrim, kind of protects it. And anyways, come down here. Let me come in real close. Yes. And here's Kunzari. And right there. Oh yes, do you see it? Right there. Let me light it up for you. This monk holding it won't let go of it. He's so ancient, and well, you know, Let me, I'll make it lighter for you. Hold on a second. Let's see, did I bring, oh no, maybe I didn't. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Maybe this will help, I don't know. Well, it didn't last very long. It was just a fire rock. Hold on a second. Well, where's my lantern? We'll use this for right now. Oh, no, I don't want to use that right now. What the heck? Where is it? What have I done? I don't have it in here. All right, hold on a sec, my friends. Let's go into here. And let's get... I want you to really get a good look at my Elder Scrolls. Because I know you're going to want it. I know you're going to want to come over and try and take it from me. And, well, you know, hey. I thought I had a lantern. I thought I did. Don't you just love going through all my stuff? I wasn't prepared, you see. You see. Wow. All right, let's just take this lantern. This lantern will show you a little bit anyways. Nope, it won't. I lied. Oh my goodness. We'll do this one maybe after this one wears off. So you can see you can kind of see it there, but I really want you to see my lantern. There, you see? Do you see it? My Elder Scroll right there behind us. Right there it is. There it is. Yeah, that's the Elder Monk. He's ancient. He's beyond ancient. He's so leathery and old. He is stuck in place. He will not let go of that Elder Scroll. What do you think about that? Anyways. Okay. So let's go back up here, and I want to take you up, and into the light a little bit, and it's loud. The music box up here is very loud. But someone asked me about my outfit, and if you weren't here when I first started wearing it earlier in the week, this is called the Stags of Zin. Very beautiful. See it? Really pretty. The Stags of Zin. Anyways. Alright, you guys. So, you know, that's it for today. I'm going to do orcs starting next week. So, you know, tune in and we'll have fun with it. And I might be streaming Imperial City PvP on Saturday afternoon. So you'll have to see if that actually happens. Otherwise, I'll see you on Monday for Dungeon Mania. We have a very special guest that's going to be joining us, a dear friend named Berg. And yeah, a new adventure awaits. All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in. Bye, everyone. Have a great rest of your Friday and have an awesome weekend. Bye for now.